Hi there guys, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be discussing Pink Floyd's 1977 In the Flesh tour. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if this is your first time, and if it is your first time, don't forget to hit like and subscribe at the bottom. It really does help make the channel grow. It's no secret to those that frequent this channel that Pink Floyd's Animals album is my favourite of the Floyd back catalogue. Today I'd like to discuss the infamous 1977 In the Flesh tour that they undertook to promote the Animals album, the bootleg recordings made by fans during that tour, and should we expect a fan recorded show to ever see an official release? But first, a short backstory. The genesis of the Animals album actually started in 1974-75 when the songs Dogs and Sheep were originally written and performed live under their original monikers You've Gotta Be Crazy and Raving and Drooling respectively. Both those songs were at the time considered for the Wish You Were Here album, but were vetoed as not really fitting into the concept of that album's narrative. Pink Floyd would, however, continue to perform these two songs as part of their live set during the latter half of the colossal Dark Side of the Moon tour, which finished in North America in 1975. During these live performances, lyrics were changed, keys were changed, and both songs honed into what would eventually become Dogs and Sheep. The recording of what would become Animals started in April 1976 and finished in December that same year. It was recorded in Pink Floyd's newly acquired Britannia Row Studios in Islington, North London. The studio was cold, stark, and not a nice place to work by all accounts. Teething problems also plagued them in the studio throughout the recording sessions for the album, so much so that today Animals is the only album that was fully recorded at the studio by Pink Floyd. Loosely based on George Orwell's Animal Farm, Animals describes the various classes in modern society as different kinds of animals: the predatory dogs, the despotic, ruthless pigs, and the mindless and unquestioning sheep. The tour for Animals started on the 23rd of January 1977 in Dortmund, Germany, and finished on the 6th of July 1977 at the Olympic Stadium in Montreal. The Animals tour at that time was the biggest rock tour undertaken and set records throughout Europe and North America. From a technical perspective, this tour also marked some firsts. This is the first time that Pink Floyd used digital delays live, specifically the MXR digital delay, being utilised by both Roger Waters on his vocals and also David Gilmour on his guitars. The old Binsonecker X, which Floyd had been using up to now, had been retired and only kept in case of an emergency. It's also the first time they played using click tracks, which were utilised on the Wish You Were Here portion of the show. The keyboard intro to Shine On You Crazy Diamond being on a quadraphonic backing track, with live Moog solo played by Rick Wright on top. Yes, shock horror, Pink Floyd used the backing track in the 1970s. It was the only way to achieve that lush keyboard intro to Shine On, as in the studio it was achieved by multi-tracking lots of keyboards, Hammond organs, Selena strings, Moog Taurus bass pedals and wine glasses with water in them. Absolutely impossible to play live back then. Many of the shows on this tour were outdoor stadium shows, and to this end it's the first time that Pink Floyd utilised a custom stage design that incorporated pop-up umbrellas in case it rained or if it was extremely sunny. These were only used a few times and there's very little footage of them actually in use. Pink Floyd were also no newbies to using inflatables. Having used a giant octopus at the Crystal Palace garden party in 1971 and an inflatable pyramid on the North American leg of the Dark Side tour in 1975. The 66-foot floating pyramid was premiered in Pittsburgh, which then proceeded to drift out of the Three Rivers Stadium and ended up crashing in the car park. For the Animals tour, they commissioned Andrew Sanders to create custom inflatables made to represent a nuclear family. A fat businessman, a wife lying on a sofa and 1.5 children. There was also a refrigerator that opened, spilling worms out the door, a television, a huge car, and of course the famous pig, which on some shows on the tour would be filled with a flammable gas which would be detonated during the crescendo of pigs, 3 different ones, causing the pig to explode over the band and the audience. During the song Sheep, there were also mortars let off firing balls into the air, which opened up into parachuting sheep, which gently came down onto the audience. Health and safety wasn't actually a thing in 1977, obviously. Other than the core band members of David Gilmour, Roger Waters, Rick Wright and Nick Mason, they were joined on this tour by Snowy White on second guitar for the first time, and he also covered on bass as well, and Dick Parry on saxophones and additional keyboards. There were no female backing singers on this tour. At this stage, the In the Flesh tour, as it was called, was the biggest rock tour undertaken by any band. At Soldiers Field in Chicago, the band drew a massive crowd, and while the gate receipts showed an attendance of 67,000, the band were not buying that, and they hired an aerial photographer who estimated the crowd to be near 95,000. A major discrepancy. There was even a federal investigation into this matter. In Cleveland and Montreal, they set attendance records for those venues by playing to around 80,000 people at each venue. It was this scale of performance that was also the catalyst for Roger Waters to write The Wall. The band hated playing to huge crowds that were only interested in shouting and letting off fireworks.
Oh, for fuck's sake, stop letting off fireworks and shouting and screaming. I'm trying to sing a song.
This started to show on Roger as the tour progressed, with him swearing at the audience and telling them to stop shouting, culminating in the now famous spitting incident at the Olympic Stadium in Montreal, in which Roger Waters beckoned a rowdy fan to the stage during the song Money, only to spit in his face. It was from this incident alone that Waters would later pen The Wall. The running order of the songs during the live shows was drastically different to how it was on the record. But why was this? I believe that the running order of the live shows is how the band had intended it to be originally, but as songs wouldn't fit on a vinyl record in that specific order, they had to rearrange the order and lightly edit some bits here and there to enable it to fit the format of 20 minutes per side. When they performed the album live though, there were no such restrictions and they had carte blanche to do what they wanted. It's for this reason that I love the live recordings, as the band were free to do as they wanted, extend songs and also go the whole hog with the Animals concept live, introducing huge inflatables, ambient soundscapes and pyrotechnics, including the aforementioned exploding pigs and the parachuting sheep. Dogs also featured an extended guitar solo played by David Gilmour, as well as an extended version of Pigs on the Wing Part 2 with the whole band playing and Snowy White providing a guitar solo over it. Pigs, 3 different ones, was also heavily extended. Live recordings of the tour were never made, except for monitor mixes that were recorded from the side of the stage, direct from the monitor mixer, and the odd open air mic recording. These monitor mixes have never seen the light of day officially, but we know they exist, as Nick Mason admitted to their existence a few years ago when the subject of the 2018 Animals remix was being discussed. Quote, "The problem was we just hit a period where everyone was paranoid about bootleggers and we didn't tape shows. There's certainly nothing really good, just sort of monitor mixes and so on. We really should have done the whole thing, filmed and recorded it properly." The issue with monitor mixes is that there is little to no audience noise captured, as these are sourced from what the band heard on stage, so no overhead mics were used to capture ambience, which is what's normally done for a live recording. Some monitor mixes may be more prominent on guitar or vocals, depending on what that particular monitor was set to do. For example, David Gilmour may have wanted more vocal bass and drums in his monitor, and not much of his guitar, if any, as he would have got most of his guitar level from his backline amplifiers, which he famously used to have at extremely loud volumes. So his monitor mix may be missing the guitar altogether or have it very low in the mix. Therefore, these monitor mixes are not really suitable unless they took the many various monitor mixes from across the stage and made one master mix out of all of them, which is possible, I suppose, but would likely sound shit. I have heard on a few occasions that there were front of house open air recordings done for the band, but these are likely no better than the many bootlegs that are available, as they were likely captured on one mic, open air from the mixing desk position, likely on a Nakamichi tape deck, the same as the monitor mixes. There were, however, obviously many bootleg recordings made on this tour, of which I have around 23. Some are bad, some are good, and in the case of the two I want to discuss, some are excellent and require deeper discussion. The two in question are the Boston Garden concert from the 27th of June 1977 and the Oakland Coliseum from the 9th of May 1977. The Bill Graham Archives recently posted on their website a partial recording of the Oakland Coliseum concert. This recording begins near the end of the first set, approximately 8 minutes into the final sequence of Pigs, 3 different ones. You then have a full performance of Wish You Were Here, plus 2 of the 3 encores, Money and Us and Them, to bring the show to a close. The third encore was Careful With That Axe, Eugene, and is missing from this recording. There's a lot of speculation around this recording, as it sounds identical to the Reinhard Holwein recording, which is a recording of the complete show. I'll leave a link in the description to the Bill Graham Archives site so you can listen to this recording yourself and make your own mind up. Long believed by fans to be the best sounding recording from the Animals tour, the Reinhard Holwein tape, recorded at the Oakland Coliseum on the 9th of May 1977, is an excellent recording, with both good clarity and also a good performance by the band. Oakland also marked the last ever performance of Careful With That Axe, Eugene, which was played as an encore along with Money and Us and Them. There are so many remasters, or so-called remasters, of the Oakland concert, done by a select few, most notably Harvested's Animal Instincts release and MOTB's Untitled Oakland release. Both supposedly used near second generation tapes to produce the releases and polish them and EQ'd them to make them sparkle. There is, however, a recent remaster of the Oakland concert called The Definitive Oakland. This is as good as it gets in my book, and the version I listen to the most. All of these releases use the Reinhard Holwein recording, so are all good in reality, and the difference between the 3 is marginal, to be fair. Although maybe missing the sound clarity of the Oakland recording, also having more audience noise, the Boston Garden PRRP Project 062 recording for me is excellent. Highly recommended. The reason for this is that this is a synchronised recording made from 2 separate sources, essentially creating a faux stereo recording. It was discovered that 2 young men from the Boston area, Dan Lampinski and Steve Hopkins, both known for their high quality of their audience recordings from the 70s, were at the Boston Garden on June the 27th, as Pink Floyd performed the Animals show. Well, Dan and Steve always used the best portable equipment available at the time, so both men achieved amazing results that night. After lying dormant for many years, these recordings were recently made available and both received rave reviews from the fans. Both of these recordings are truly good separately. Each has its own merits, but is limited to a rather narrow acoustic field. Since the 2 tapers were sitting on opposite sides of the garden, a sound engineer decided to combine the 2 recordings to try and increase the acoustic field. The joining of the 2 recordings has not only widened the acoustic field, but also improved the overall sound and created a surprising stereo effect. Save for a few bum notes from Rick Wright, it's also an excellent performance. David Gilmour on this is firing on all 4 cylinders, his guitar playing being really aggressive throughout the Animals performance. Dog specifically for me on this recording needs a mention. The solos played here by Gilmour throughout are on the edge of feedback. You can literally hear that Gilmour's guitar amps are turned really high, and utilising the Colour Sound Power Boost pedal he used caused this sound to be on the edge of breakup. That's hard to do with a high watt amp. These amps been designed to produce a glassy clean tone at high volume. This particular release was created and released by the Progressive Rock Remaster Project, or PRRP. If you want to search for it on the interweb, go for it. Out of all the various recordings available from the Animals tour, the best sounding has to be the Oakland Coliseum recording by Reinhard Holbein. Its clarity, performance and presentation all make this a great listen. This was recorded on a reel-to-reel and must have been quite big and bulky to sneak in past security at the venue. Add to this his position in the venue, which sounds like he was on top of the mixer at the front of house. Therefore, it's my belief that Reinhard Holbein maybe knew someone in the venue and managed to get the prime position near the mixing desk. That wouldn't surprise me after all the recordings he recorded at the Coliseum. Like the Bill Graham recording, this is devoid of excessive audience noise, which again makes this such an enjoyable listen. There's just the right amount of audience ambience that's not too intrusive. When Emile Delaray developed the MAL, or Machine Assisted Learning technology, to demix the Naga tapes and the mono audio tracks for the soundtrack of Peter Jackson's Get Back movie, people suddenly started realising the enormous potential for this software. Needless to say, it was also used on both the original 4-track masters for the remix of the Beatles' Revolver album and the remaster of Michael Lindsay Hogg's Let It Be film. And the end results of these projects has been staggering, to say the least. We now also know that Peter Jackson has been commissioned by Apple to demix and polish up the famous Beatles Star Club recordings. These recordings were done by Ted King Size Taylor, guitarist and singer of King Size Taylor and the Dominoes, on a mono reel-to-reel tape recorder. And until now, it's been impossible to remix these recordings as everything is locked to one track in mono. These recordings are not an easy listen sometimes. They're badly recorded, certainly not hi-fi, and are likely the first bootleg recordings of the Beatles, but they are of historic importance. So I'm interested to hear how they come out when they're eventually released. This obviously got me thinking about Oakland and the possibility of demixing that recording and maybe others in the future. Before we even think about the possibility of demixing Oakland, we have to address the elephants in the room. And those elephants are whether it's in Pink Floyd's interest to get involved in a project like this, ownership of the master tape and whether the original recorder should get a slice of the royalties or should Pink Floyd buy it outright, and is there a market for a product like this? First of all, is this in Pink Floyd's interest? I think obviously a big yes. But to be of interest and for it to work for Pink Floyd would have to eat a huge slice of humble pie and accept that these recordings, of which there are many, are of historical importance and that they deserve to be treated as such. Pink Floyd have in the past acknowledged the existence of high quality unofficial recordings by including things like The Man and a Journey from the Concert Gimbal and the BBC Paris Theatre concerts, etc., which were recorded by the BBC, and a 1967 Live in Stockholm recording, to name just 3, and these were all added to the early years box. All 3 of these recordings had been available for years as bootlegs, with the Stockholm recording being only marginally better in quality than the Beatles' Star Club tape. Many famous artists, with a huge exception to Don Henley,
I want to change or improve outdated laws and regulations that have been abused for over 20 years by big tech, the enormous digital platforms that facilitate millions of copyright infringements monthly.
But that's a story for another video, will now openly point people to YouTube videos filmed on mobile phones at their concerts, some of which are of super high quality. Back in the 70s, the thought of sneaking a Super 8 movie camera into a concert to film it was a dodgy prospect at best. Just like audio recording a concert, it was actively prohibited and the security were really tight on it. But now, obviously, the whole landscape has changed with the advent of smartphones, with 4K, high-res video capability, and now artists essentially have had to embrace that medium and accept it is now part and parcel of playing live. People will have their phones out, and unless the artist has explicitly requested no filming, think Kate Bush at the Hammersmith Apollo during her marathon concerts there 2014, people will film and also record the audio, and it's now not prohibited at all. It's now essentially unpoliceable. Therefore, I think these legacy artists now should look upon those 60s and 70s audience recordings as an extension of what's happening now with smartphones and social media and embrace them if they are of good enough quality. Could this be a turning point where previous illegally recorded recordings at last get recognition for being of valuable historic importance, like the Star Club recordings, and get the demix and remix TLC they deserve? I hope so. Now, onto the ownership of the tape. Well, as far as we know, the current owner of the original master tape of Oakland is Reinhard Holbein, the original taper. Unless you know different, hit me in the comments below. In a situation like this, I believe Pink Floyd would likely just offer him money to buy the rights and the tape off him outright. They wouldn't want to split this. And obviously, it would be made easier if they had total ownership. That's if Mr. Holbein is still alive. He must be in his early 70s by now, I reckon. Hi there guys, I'm literally recording this 4 days after I recorded the original video. I finished recording the video. I've spent the last 3 or 4 days editing and doing the B-roll, etc. Before I went to work this morning, I went on my laptop, I started the upload of the video onto YouTube, got to work and checked my phone to make sure the upload had gone okay. I've got a copyright strike. Now, all of the audio in the background on this video is either audio from the bootleg of the Oakland concert or the Boston Garden concert. When I checked what part of the video they put the copyright strike on, it was on a section of, it was actually the intro to Pig's 3 Different Ones from the Oakland concert, and to some of the other parts of the Oakland concert as well, which I thought was weird because it's a bootleg. I then checked the copyright information on YouTube, and blow me down, the copyright holder of Oakland is Pink Floyd. They didn't actually prevent me from uploading the video, but I just wouldn't be able to monetize it, which is okay, fair enough. But the big thing here is Pink Floyd own the copyright and the content of Oakland. They kept that quiet. So what I've actually done is I've gone in, I've re-edited some of the audio, I've put more of the Boston Garden concert in to try and cover up those bits that I had the Oakland on. I suspect they haven't got the copyright on Boston Garden. We shall see. But anyway, back to the video. Is there a market for a product like this? Damn right there is. Anything Floyd related will have a price tag, and an Animals concert recording would be off the charts. People were very vocal about it on the various forums before the release of the 2018 remix, that they wanted the inclusion of concert material. However, that was before demix technology was a thing, so at that time it was never going to happen. However, this is now not an issue. And D-Mix is now available even for us mere mortals on platforms like lala.ly, dmixer.com and freedmixer.com. Now, these are obviously of not the same standard as the male technology used by Peter Jackson, but it's a start, and it has enabled one fan to split the stems of the Reinhardt Whole Oakland recording, D-Mix and then remix it. The end result is the remixed Oakland concert, which I've linked in the description below for you to download. Listen with headphones. It's a great listen. Sheep in particular made the hair stand up on the back of my neck, full of power, and that delay on Roger's voice was just excellent and added so much to the song live. If this is what a fan can do, imagine what Pink Floyd could do with the male technology. The inclusion of the original quad sound effects used during the original shows could be used to great effect for 5.1 mixes. There's lots that could be done. And this fan created D-Mix release just shows what's possible. At the moment, it's the best I've heard this show. And that's it. That's my take on whether we could or should D-Mix the Animals tour recording of Oakland, or any others you can think of. Do I think it'll ever happen? Not in my lifetime, and certainly not in the remaining Floyd's lifetime. At this time, I just don't think either of the remaining Floyds would be open to it, especially in the current climate between Messrs Waters and Gilmore. Do I think it should be done? Absolutely. There are so many shows out there, not only by Pink Floyd, you've got Led Zeppelin, Yes, Genesis, which would benefit from the male technology. This is now a chance to unlock the past and bring the past to the present, and to enable people that didn't get a chance to experience these live shows back then, the chance to experience them now. And that's it. That's my little video today on the In the Flesh tour by Pink Floyd. Thanks for watching, hit like and subscribe, and I shall see you in the next one. Cheers, bye bye.